Alright, good afternoon everybody. This is Operation Reality Check, turn 3. Overall dispositions at the end of the turn. We're going to start with Austria. Bavaria, they have 5 infantry. I'm also going to put this right here for everyone to see. They have 5 infantry there, 1 infantry in Bohemia, 10 infantry, 3 machine gunners, and 2 artillery in Austria/Vienna. Albania, they have 4 infantry, 4 artillery. Poland, they have 5 infantry, 1 fighter. Romania, they have 5 infantry and 2 artilleries. Change that there. C-Zone 32, they have 1 dreadnought, 1 cruiser, and 1 transport. Moving on to the Russian turn. Russia has 2 infantry in Petrograd, 1 dreadnought in Eastern Black Sea and Eastern Baltic Sea. Australia has 2 infantry. Lithuania has a total of 5 infantry, 3 elites, 7 artillery, 1 fighter, and 1 ace fighter. Moscow has 7 infantry. Eastern Ukraine has 3 infantry, 2 cavalry. C-Zone 33, Russia has 2 subs and 1 cruiser. Moving on to Persia, they have 5 infantry and 1 artillery. The Urals, 3 infantry, 2 artillery. 3 infantry in Siberia, 1 infantry in Irsk, 1 infantry in Amir. For their turn, for Germany, I start season 4. I guess I start over here going that way. There's 2 subs, 3 cruisers, 1 dreadnought, and 1 transport. In Central America, they have 4 infantry and 1 artillery. In Chile, 5 infantry, 1 artillery. C-Zone 73, 4 cruisers. C-Zone 75, 1 transport. In the island of Picardy, 2 infantry, 1 infantry in Trinidad. C-Zone 21, they have 1 sub. Belgium, they have a total of 10 infantry, 3 machine gunners, 14 artillery, 4 fighters, and 1 Red Baron. Over here in Belgium. In Hanover, they have 1 infantry. Berlin, 2 zeppelins, 2 cavalry, 1 artillery. When I'm tracking, I didn't see you put down infantry or not for that. But yeah. Then Rhine province, 3 infantry, 1 artillery. The Sans, 2 infantry, minefields. Bavaria, I have 2 infantry, 1 fighter, 1 cavalry, 2 artillery for Germany. Bohemia, I have 1 infantry still. Silesia, I have 7 infantry. Lithuania, 1 infantry, 1 truck, and 6 artillery. Poland, this is going to be 1 infantry and 1 fighter. Belarus, 1 fighter, or 1 infantry, I mean. Western Ukraine, 10 infantry and 1 artillery. Yep. Moving on to the Gold Coast, 1 infantry there, 1 infantry in Cameroon, 1 infantry in Darfur. I'm assuming the Ottomans going to be wiped out, but haven't heard back yet. 2 infantry in Belgian Congo, 2 artillery and 3 machine gunners in German East Africa with a minefield, trench works, and a military base. Portuguese East Africa has 3 infantry. Yep. Mauritius has 1 infantry. Palau Islands has 1 infantry. German New Guinea, 1 infantry. Bismarck, Archipelago, 1 infantry. Marshall Islands, 1 infantry. German Somalia, 2 infantry. That takes care of the Germans. And if I am missing something, we can send me a message. For the French, C-Zone 32, 1 damaged dreadnought. C-Zone 36, 1 transport. C-Zone 37, 1 transport. 1 infantry and 1 infantry in Persia, right there. 1 infantry in Madagascar. C-Zone 12, 1 cruiser. 1 infantry in Togoland and 1 infantry in French West Africa. With transport in C-Zone 13. Portugal has 1 cavalry still. Burgundy has 1 infantry. Paris has 6 infantry. Picardy has 2 infantry. Lorraine has the minefields. 17 infantry, 3 machine gunners, 9 artillery, 1 truck, and 7 fighters. And 1 infantry in Belgium. For the British, They have 5 infantry in DC. London has 7 infantry, 3 elites, 1 truck. Season 20 has 3 cruisers, 4 subs, 4 transports, 1 dreadnought. Picardy has 4 infantry, 6 artillery. Portugal has 3 infantry and 1 artillery. Malta and Cyprus both have 1 infantry. Egypt, 2 infantry. Palestine, 5 infantry, 3 elites, and 2 artillery. Southern Congo, 2 infantry. Rhodesia, 1 infantry. German South West Africa, 3 infantry, 1 artillery. Union of South Africa, 3 infantry. Portuguese Africa, 1 infantry. There are 2 cruisers in season 38. Mesopotamia has a total of 13 infantry, 8 artillery, and 1 fighter. Armenia has 1 infantry. Season 41 has 2 dreadnoughts and 2 transports. West India has a total of 3 infantry, 3 machine gunners, and 1 fighter. Season 42 has 1 transport. French Indochina has 1 British infantry. North Wano and Papalu have 1 infantry apiece. Hong Kong has 2 infantry. And Sydney has 3 infantry and 1 artillery. And lastly, with New Zealand, they have 1 infantry sitting there. Moving on to Japan. Tokyo has 2 infantry. Season 55 has 1 transport. Osaka has 3 infantry. Korea has 1 cavalry. French Indochina has 3 elites. In season 50, there's 1 transport. In season 58, there's 1 transport, 2 cruisers, 2 subs, and 1 dreadnought. And Carolina has 2 infantry there. The Palau Islands have 1 infantry on the island and 1 transport in season 49. That should do it for the Japanese. The Ottomans have 1 sub in 32, season 32, 7 infantry and 2 artillery in Constantinople. Southern Anatolia has 1 infantry, 1 artillery. The Caucasus have 5 infantry. Crimea has 3 elites and 3 cavalry. Volga has 5 infantry total and 4 artillery. And that should do it for the Ottomans disposition. Now moving on to the Italians. In Tyrol, we have a total of 19 infantry, 6 artillery, and 1 truck. Dalmatia has 3 infantry. Venice has 2 infantry, 1 artillery, and minefields. Season 30 has a cruiser, a transport, and a dreadnought. Moving on to Rome. Rome has 6 infantry and 1 fighter. And season 29 has 1 submarine. Dalfur has 5 infantry and 1 artillery. British East Africa have 1 infantry and 1 cavalry. Last but not least, the USA. Alaska has 1 infantry. DC has 1 infantry and 1 artillery. Northern Mexico, 5 infantry, 4 artillery. Southern Mexico, 1 infantry. Season 70, 1 transport. Season 5, 1 transport, 2 cruisers, and 1 dreadnought. Cuba has 1 artillery, 2 infantry. Season 7 has 1 transport. Brazil has 6 infantry and 1 artillery. Philippines, 2 infantry. Guam and Hawaii have 1 infantry apiece. An American cruiser is sitting in season 57. That should be all the depositions for every single nation for end of turn 3.